Okay, so I'm recording on my phone, so the audio is probably not going to be the best. I've checked out this voice recorder before, and it sounds pretty good, like it picks up sound good. But I am driving home from work on a full moon, late at night. I think it's an Aries full moon in October. Beautiful moon, by the way. And I know there will be some road noise and stuff because I just have a little Toyota, and the clanking sound are my shells on my rearview mirror. I don't know if it'll sound good enough. I should just turn it into text perhaps and write it out, but it's something I really want to get out because I know I've mentioned this many times. I don't have a lot of time. I'm a very busy person. And it's so funny because if you were to go back a few videos back, like not necessarily podcasts, but when I was just recording videos on YouTube, you would see that I was pretty sick. And I had brought up how I learned how to give all the toxicity back to my abusers, and how that's what I realized was wrong with me in the past. And even though I still do have health issues, because energy does go in the path of least resistance, so if you have built up years and years of chronic fight or flight, whatnot, you're gonna have issues, and of course we age and whatnot. But I am so much busier than I was then. It's unreal. And as much as I would love to put these things out, I don't always get a chance. And I almost want to apologize in advance if I offend anyone with what I have to say. Yet I also feel like I shouldn't have to. Like, I don't know when men will be held accountable for their fragile egos. It's gone too far where I'm afraid to say too much negative about men because I don't want to offend them. I know you should say not all men, and who is it? The public offender YouTube will say, it's silly, we shouldn't have to say that. But in reality, not all men are bad men, obviously. But there are, let's just say, too many men, obviously, because we're in this situation as a society around the globe entirely, are like, what's the word? Flaccid. They're doing nothing about the oppression and the corruption. And granted, there are some men who really are trying to make a difference, and they are so few and far in between. The insane amount of men that claim to be alphas is pathetic, because that's like me having to tell people I'm a lady. They say if you have to tell people you ain't no lady, well, if you have to tell people you're an alpha, you ain't no alpha. Growing a beard or a stash or having tattoos or bragging about being in the Marine Corps, talking to you pops, spending the majority of it in San Diego smoking weed, that stuff doesn't make you an alpha, I'm sorry. But building people up and being a leader could. Because in reality, I don't know, the amount of men that will say, I'm an alpha, but then they'll also say they're a lone wolf. And it's like, you cannot be both, boo-boo. You cannot be both, alright? Now, so what I'm going to get into with this recording is, it is going to be a little bit, offensive, but at the same time, it is necessary, because men, you do need to be careful with what you're doing. And this is not going to be a video of, just anything. I'm talking specifically in regards to magic, okay? In regards to hermetic brotherhoods, in regards to trying to manipulate the law of attraction, or reading these books of ours and learning how to do all of this sigil magic and things like that. Because especially if you are a white male in a Western country, okay? If you're a male in another country, if it is the country where your race is dominant, again, you really need to be careful, all right? And I'll get into all that. And this is something that I've been learning myself over the years. So, first off, let's not have some fragile egos, okay? Because as women take beatings all the time. I have taken beatings my entire life, physically, psychologically, financially, in every way by men. So, you guys can toughen up and you can handle this, okay? And those of you who agree with me who happen to also be men, then good, because I feel like you really need to help these guys out, because what they're doing is destroying themselves and they're creating lifetimes of karma that they may not have the opportunity to correct. And I say that because this planet is supposed to be like a, what would you call it? I don't want to say testing grounds, but it is sort of, because even in the book of Enoch, it mentions that our life here is like kind of like we're going to be tested. So you will go through suffering, right? And you'll also go through opportunities to level up. But how you respond to both good and bad, it kind of lets the great creator know if you're worthy or not to graduate into a higher dimension. And so many people kind of in the toxic spiritual community want to just basically claw their way into a higher dimension or density by being fake positive. And just because you're acting and behaving positive, trying to create positive, does not make you good. The truth is neither positive or negative. It just is what it is. Our perception of it, you might see one thing as positive and one thing as negative, but someone else might see the reverse. And so these people that are afraid to hear anything negative, but can listen to these random charlatans that are channeling Mary Magdalene and the Council, Theo, Bashar, Archangel Michael. These people are channeling trickster spirits that are feeding off of people, because in their mind, the viewers are just worshipers. And that's how they're being fed energetically. And these people feel like they're so positive and they're so good, and all they're doing is leading people astray who are empty and have a void. And they don't know how to fill it with the Holy Spirit or with, the great creator. Doesn't matter, chillicity, nature, whatever. They are empty. And the point I'm getting at is, I know some of the things I'm going to say may seem rude or insulting, but I know it's the truth. And if I am wrong, then that's a good thing. And I've said this before, sometimes it's good to be wrong, because we don't have to try to fight to prove that we're right all the time. Like, especially in this situation, because if I'm right, which I'm 99.99999% sure that I am in this situation. Now, granted, some of the fine details might need tweaking, as usually that happens. One thing I've learned is that our logic is so flawed, and it is so basic compared to our intuition. And that's one of the reasons why men doing magic is so dangerous, because they are usually not as in tune with their intuition as women and nurturers are. Now, if you happen to be a man, but also very nurturing, and you have the tendency to gravitate more towards animals, and you're very gentle, and you don't like harming things, and you find yourself taking care of everyone around you, like in a very nurturing role, you may be okay. But it's like the majority of men don't have like their intuition up to par, and they do have level of instinct, but you really need both in order to do things correctly. And the problem is that if you're trying to do this magic, trying to do creating, manifesting, and you don't have intuition, you have to manipulate and you have to use like men, like say, like my dad, for example, would think he has the most dominant authority to pray over his home as the man of the house. Needless to say, he never did a very good job of that. You know, not with the abuse that I endured and everything else. But, and to an extent, yes, you know, you can have spiritual authority, obviously. But overall, if you're doing magic to claim to have power and control, like say, for example, the ruling class, they do black magic flat out. They do dark magic, evil magic, you know, they use hermetic magic, you name it, they do it. Drinking the baby blood, sacrificing people, they do it. You know, the Rothschilds, Rockefellers, you know, I'm sure everyone who's ever been president, these people do such vile, perverse magic. And they are going to pay for it. Like, they probably don't have the lifetimes to pay for it. And I think that's one reason why they panic and behave the way they do, because they know they don't. And so the reason why I feel like you may not have the lifetimes to correct the damage that you do is because I feel like this testing ground, this planet, and pardon me if I end up in rabbit hole after rabbit hole, but I don't have my notes since I'm driving, right? And so I'm the queen of rabbit holes. But usually I'll get back to my point at some point, hopefully, right? If not, just ask me down below in comments or something, and I'll try to again. So I feel like even though this planet was meant to be our testing ground, it was meant to be our, like, I'm trying to think of the right word. I don't quite like the testing ground, because even though we're being tested here, it's like our, what is it? You know, some people say, like, this is the place where we grow and evolve, so our spirit can grow and evolve. And part of me kind of hated hearing that, because I don't know, that's a whole nother story, I suppose. But I know that is true to a very large extent. The problem is the balance has been stripped so far from us because of the people manipulating magic and manipulating energy. And I mean, it's not all, first off, it's so fucking ridiculous that men, again, like my earth dad, the sperm donor, you know, would condemn magic because everything is magic. Magic is almost more of a term for those who don't understand the scientific reasoning behind something, just like the supernatural and paranormal. Just because we don't have the technology to show why something works doesn't mean that it's something you condemn. And the reason why magic is being condemned so much, especially with women, is just the only way we ever had to fight back. We don't have the, you know, the strength or the stamina or the militaries and everything the way that men do. I mean, men oppress each other, and then they blame their wives and kids for, you know, how much they cost. But it's other men that, you know, set the price. And anyway, condemning this magic is absolutely ridiculous, right? But the problem is if you're using magic when you already have privilege, or you already have, and I know that that's also a very sensitive word, you have fragile ego to say privilege, woo-hoo-hoo. Like, I get it. I mean, I used to be the same way, you know. I was raised very right-wing, and I used to kind of eye roll when people would say white privilege and whatnot, because I saw all of my poor family members, like, that had to scrape and crawl out of poverty the hard way. Even though my parents had it easier than any generation, because my grandparents did everything they could to provide them with a future that my parents could not even provide for us. It's like the boomers hoarded it all, and then sold all the land of my grandparents, and then squandered all that money, and couldn't even put their own damn kids or grandkids through college. Like, I'm sorry, but it's like, yes, I saw very poor people in my family that had to survive, and I know that they were white, but they did not endure the pain and the suffering that the poor and black happen to suffer from, you know, in the South. So, yeah, there still was this level of privilege, and granted, the ones who, like, have more money have more privilege, obviously. Sorry, I turned on my windshield wipers for a minute, because it's just dirty windshield. I know my father's father, who I probably have quite a bit of curses from. Let me see, my father's father, yeah. Who was a Freemason Shriner. He was not a good person. He, you know, cheated on his wife multiple times and then shot her lover when she finally decided to do it back to him. She came from a long lineage of Freemasons as well. I know one of her, I don't know, her father or her grandfather was a 33rd degree Mason, had his apron in the library in Arkadelphia, Arkansas for a long time until that library burnt down. But anyway, my great-grandfather lived in Mobile. He was a pharmacist. And, you know, came from a pretty wealthy, well-to-do family. They had a lot of money before the Civil War. And he was born in 1898. And he remembered actually using Confederate dollars as, like, book covers. You know? So, like, their level of privilege was so much. And yet, he came from the people who do magic, like the people who like, no, I'm sorry, but when you already have so much, like, more than others, but you try to use magic to get your way, you're setting the energy so far off balance that you are asking for an ass whooping. You are asking to be destroyed, okay? In every possible sense of the term. And this is something that I kind of learned from, let's say, I don't know how to explain. I think I've mentioned this before, but I, like, see her as, like, a great-grandmother, like a grandmama kind of thing. And it's like a voodoo woman that I see. It's not like I'm schizophrenic. I don't hear voices or see her physically, but it's like I get these impressions in my mind, right? And I just have learned a lot from her. And I always wondered why she cared for me or took care of me and taught me things. And then when I got my DNA updated, I saw that I had some African American ancestry, and it was from Western Africa, where voodoo is the religion. And so I was very grateful. And then I was kind of concerned that it didn't come from my father's side, where they did happen to have some slaves, so that concerned me as well. But it ended up coming from my mother's side, which you can trace back some of their lineage to, like, Melungeon last names, and then my aunt has some Spanish in her. It didn't show up in me, but these are all the kind of bloodlines that seem to show up in a lot of mixed race people in the mountains, in the Appalachian Mountains, okay? So thankfully, it was probably more so from someone who had escaped. And anyway, so I know what she had showed me was that all the suffering that she endured is what gave her the spiritual authority to be so good at voodoo and to be so good at the craft. And the same thing with me. It's like the more I have been abused, and the more I had been oppressed, and the more that I had been frankly raped and coerced and thoroughly abused by the men in my life, the more spiritual authority I gained to do the craft. And I don't have to have all of this, these tools and all of these hoops to jump through in order to have powerful workings the way men do. Ooh, don't do it. Ooh, that buck almost jumped in front of me. Thank God he didn't, poor thing. Anyway, so what really irritates me, but also, again, it's like this is something that she taught me, so I'm learning and I'm watching as I go, and I realize this is why we're in the state that we are in as people, is too many people that don't have the spiritual authority to be doing and wielding magic are going to great lengths to try and manipulate energy. And all magic really is basically guiding energy in a certain direction. Guiding or forcing, depending on how you do it, or if you have any fail-safes built in. And if you're manipulating and forcing energy without the authority to do so, it doesn't mean the energy can't head in the direction in which you send it. But it will most certainly come back to you in a way that is so horrifying that you cannot comprehend it. And if you do have the authority to send it, it's much more powerful with much less effort. And what irks me is the amount of men that have an obsession with getting into like these hermetic brotherhoods and these like magical, like I listened to one guy who went on this really long, podcast, and he was a 33rd degree Mason, and they had gotten him to become a Satanist and a Druid and a Mormon, and I'm just like eye rolling and thinking like, you dumb shit. Now granted, he left and now he's all Mr. Jesus freak. Even dumber still, because you go from one selling your soul to one agenda to another. Because not that I don't love Jesus Christ, I do, and I know that he is the Word made flesh and is a very special incarnation. But you can't deny the correlation in between him and, like, say, Krishna. If you were to read the Bhagavad Gita, and the one guy had even talked about that, how, they told me that Jesus went to the East and studied the occult and to Egypt, and that's why he was able to do all these things. And I'm like, no. Again, dumbasses. He was able to do these things because, God, the deer are out like crazy, and I guess because it's a full moon. Hey, beautiful, that is another young buck. You've all got one antler, huh? What do you think? I think it's like what would you call it? Like the Druid Oracle cards. It talks about integrity and pride for the right reasons. Not to let your pride protect you from the wrong things, which is a really good thing, especially like if you happen to be a man and you're slightly offended by listening to this. And also, even for me, like, I don't want to be too prideful or arrogant in speaking this, but I also feel like, we as women really do, we have for far too long sold ourselves short and basically destroyed ourselves by trying to sugarcoat everything all the time. And we give our power away, and that time is ending. And as the transition has begun, it's like too many women have become out of balance, too masculine in kind of like very toxic ways, where they, are very ruthless to each other, and they will do anything to, the way women will slit throats of other women to make money these days is beyond me. I can't comprehend it, but I get it because, more and more men are really too placid. They're not, am I saying that right? It's flaccid, right? Okay, it's almost same thing, but not exactly, obviously. It's like, they're not really like, most of the men I know, at least from my generation, it's like they kind of just suckle their thumb, and they kind of just, they want to make just enough money to get by, so they can go home and drink and watch their favorite show, or I don't know, game or whatever. They're not really, they don't have any passion or motivation. And anywho, it's sad. But the ones that do like have any motivation, it's scary how they want to be so forceful with it. And I am, of course, it's also hunting season, and I'm just like, I feel so bad. All the bucks are probably trying to avoid all the freaking hunters, and I'm like, they're all over the place. So I, like, again, in a way I want to apologize, but at the same time, it's like, I know that we as women have got to learn. We've been so conditioned and so groomed for thousands of years now to, I don't know, to just like almost, God, I just don't want to sound like, you know, racist either, but it's like, yes, and massa, whatever you want, massa. Like we're just literally groomed and conditioned to bow down to men, to grovel and kiss their ass and make sure that we don't anger them. And you know, we've really got to stop that. Like, we've got to be able to just talk to them straight out. And like, you know, I mean, obviously Mr. Kirk that, you know, got taken out not too long ago, he had no problem talking like, you know, like molester groomers do. I mean, the way he talked to that 14-year-old girl, telling her she really just wanted a man, that she didn't know what she wanted, she didn't want an education, she wanted a man. And it's like, that's exactly what my molester told me too. You know, that I didn't know that basically just admitted that I wanted sex. So, it's just, he was so sick. He was a very, very sick individual, and he had no problem trying to completely destroy women. I'm talking girls, like underage women, with his words. And he was never apologetic about it whatsoever. And so, like, but I don't know, apparently we're supposed to have empathy for him. Which I'm pretty sure, you know, he went out a lot quicker than most of us ever will. So he had a very merciful death. But I'm pretty sure his afterlife is being spent, you know, in the middle of Gaza somewhere or something, watching what's going on, so that he realizes how fucking wrong he was. Anyway, I don't know, it's like, the point I'm kind of getting at is, not only are men in extreme danger, and yes, I'm aware that some women do this too. I, honest to God, have to eye roll whenever women are like, you know, partaking in mystery schools and all of this. I'm a priestess. And it's like, bitch, please. Bitch, fucking please. Like, just quit already. Like, you know, quit trying to be important. Like, no. Like, you are so far gone and lost and have no clue what you're doing with your life. Like, no. And, you know, again, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm so wrong. And that would be a good thing. Like I've said before, that would be a really, really good thing. But I feel as though for you to have the spiritual authority to wield the craft, okay? First off, you really want to know that the spiritual forces you're dealing with even like you. Like, if you put a love spell on someone and it caused their partner to almost kill them, and then years later, you're furious with them because you're paying child support. So then you go hire some, you know, voodoo priest from another country, and you pay him online on the dark web or something to try and take her out. And she happens to have African ancestry, and you don't, because you're like 101% British, and you got blue eyes, and there's no, you know, African ancestry. If some voodoo priest is doing this work for you, he's either going to have a failsafe built in where if you're lying and you're wrong, then it's going to come back on you. Or even if he's not good and he's evil and he does try to send it to the victim, it's probably going to come back on both of them. Because, you know, spirits are going to be loyal to their own descendants and their children, especially if they're a good one, especially if you care about the earth, care about the planet, care about protecting life here. There's too many people out there that are trying to wield magic. You even got the stupid TikTok witches and whatnot, trying to wield magic, that do not have the authority, do not have the awareness, do not have the confidence, and do not have the understanding to do what they're doing. And although energy flows in the path of least resistance, as I will say this a lot throughout my videos, podcast, what have you. Oh, baby. Oh, God. No. Oh, I try so hard not to hit babies. I'm sorry, but they're my babies. Like, I absolutely... It just breaks my heart how many of them get hit. And I know we can't always help it, but I can't stand that we're stuck commuting for minimum wage shit. Late at night. Oh. And like, there was one possum in the road not too far back, but that one was really close to water. And they're so innocent. Like, these sweet babies. Like, we feed one we've named Johnny. And he comes to steal cat food before you pick it up at night. And he is so sweet and so precious and so gentle. And I'm just so grateful. Some people are like, well, don't feed wildlife. And other people are like, well, it's good to have wildlife stations to feed them because, like, you know, we've taken their habitats and whatnot. It is so inhumane and it is so cruel. And this is actually a really good point to make for this video. And what I mean by, like, spirits wanting to know what are your priorities before they help you, okay? These animals being forced to resort to roadkill and getting killed in order to eat, it is so fucking wrong. It is so distorted, and I can't believe that we as humans just, you know, oh, who cares, let's go make money. Like they just, you know, no one's doing anything about it. These possums, I don't know if you know this or not, but they're not supposed to be eating protein all the time, okay? They will get metabolic bone disease and die. They need to be eating a lot more fruits and nuts, and the problem is our government has deliberately destroyed most fruit and nut trees by planting tons of male trees, as well as having invasive trees like theirs, the pine plantations everywhere out here. And they've destroyed the ecosystem, and yet they do this in the national forest, by the way, the pine plantations. It's not to protect the forest. It's such bullshit. And the food sources for the animals are just not there. And I'm just so heartbroken that they all suffer so much because we as humans, again, like, because of men, and I know that you guys may eye roll and say that's not true. It's like, well then, you know, do something about it. And it's like, you know, men run this shindig. It's a patriarchy. Everyone knows it. I mean, is it or is it not? And it stinks so bad because I have all my the chicken houses out here. They smell so nasty. Like, you don't ever want to eat chicken when you live out here in the Washita Mountains, and they destroy the rivers and everything fucking smells. Nature is being destroyed right now by men. And what are they doing about it? Scarfing down chicken nuggets, drinking beer, spray with glyphosate, you know, watered down fucking alcohol. It's so stupid. Like, what are you doing with your lives? You know? Like, maybe not you personally listening, but look at all your friends and your coworkers. What the fuck are you doing with your lives? Like, this is not okay. This is not fucking okay. I'm just so done. I'm so done with, like, watching everything suffer because men are gonna pick their nose or masturbate before they're gonna do a damn thing about it. And it's like, yes, I know I sound so mean, and I'm so mean to men, and I'm a bad, naughty woman, but, you know, it's like, I have been abused by them enough to feel like I have the authority to call out their bullshit, okay? Like, I'm sorry, but if you can dish it, you can take it, alright? And what I'm getting at is, like, you know, the spiritual forces on this planet, they really do. Any of them that are remotely good, like, which are going to have the most authority from the Creator, they want those who care about this place, who want to protect this place and want to save it. And there are way too many powers and principalities that do not care about this place at all, that are literally trying to rip it limb from limb. And those are the ones that are really influencing men right now and convincing them that really manipulative magic is a good fucking idea, which is the worst thing you can do, because when you're already given physical dominion, if you're also trying to take the spiritual dominion, you are destroying yourself. You are putting generational curses on your children. You're actually like stacking so much debt that you cannot pay. Your soul will be destroyed. Not going to hell, okay? It's so funny that, like, I don't know when that started in, like, the Bible or religion where there's a hell that you get to spend eternity in. No. You will cease to exist, boo. You will cease to fucking exist, okay? Because you have to be connected to source to live. Too many forces out here are, like, feeding off of us because they are not connected to source. Without us, they die. Okay? Source is love. The creator, the source of all life is love. If you're not connected to that, you cannot live. Period. There is no hell for you. None. Hell still has to be fed by life, by love. And yes, I understand people hear the word love. You're brainwashing room to think that means to turn the other cheek and to, like, let people stomp all over you and don't wish harm on anyone. I'm like, I'm sorry, but Jesus told perverts to jump in the ocean with a millstone tied around their neck, okay? So, it's like, if you're a pedophile, kill yourself. That's literally what he said. He told men it'd be better to cut their balls off than have a divorce. I mean, you can go read it yourself. He may not have said it in those words, but nobody wants to read the common sense interpretation of what that stuff meant. Anyway, love isn't weak. And love sometimes will become violent in order to protect them. What is a mother bear gonna do? People are so afraid of the ferocious mother feminine, of Kaliak, of the Morrigan, of, what is it? Is it Urzuli Dantor? I'm not sure how you say that. These women, these feminine energies, like, they are the ferocious mothers. They are the ones who are going to rip you to pieces when you abuse the weak, when you abuse the weary, the little ones, the ones that have no voice, the planet itself. And I'm sorry, but Mother Bear, yes, she will kill you if you get near her babies. Okay? So yes, sometimes love is ferocious. Sometimes love is violent. And, you know, there's this point where us as women, and as people in general, do need to quit giving our power away. Men are doing that way too much. Either they're trying to take power by force, or they just give it all away and become completely flaccid, and they just lay around and they just act like a dead fish floating downriver, and they put forth no effort in their life. Too many women die alone and depressed because their men could not love them. Their men could not love themselves. Their men could not love anything. And when they die, they will cease to exist. Now, they may be given, if there's a tiny little hairline attachment to source left, they can be given more lives and more opportunities to do the right thing. The problem is that I do feel like this shift is going to happen in this planet where there's no more room to give certain people and certain entities any more chances. Because the balance is so far off that it's like the earth is congested with demons. The earth is congested with negative entities. The earth is congested with too many forces fighting over it. And it's not meant to be a holding ground for all spirits. It's meant to be like something that you pass through to evolve. It's meant to be a place where both the physical and spiritual kind of intertwine in a beautiful marriage. It's not meant to be like a prison, okay? And we are pretty much practically imprisoned already by the ruling class, and they themselves are so terrified of their future that they're just panicking, and they keep doing more and more insane things. And I can't remember for sure if it's if this is correct or not. I was thinking that maybe someone had mentioned that the United States might be a Sagittarius rising, something along those lines. And if that's the case, it sort of makes sense that, you know, it's like too many of the leaders right now in the ruling class are really haphazardly rushing through things. And even though I have a Scorpio ascendant, a lot of times my transits more align with what people might think is a Sag ascendant. Even though mine is in the center, the way they read these charts, they have the tendency to, if I was to go read a daily horoscope, a Sagittarius would match quite often for me. And then my Sagittarius is in my second house of self-worth. So I can fully understand the weaknesses of Sagittarius in that you want to rush through things and you get so excited that you just want to do stuff, but it's like you want to hurry up and get to the finished product without actually digging in deep and doing a really thorough good job. And that kind of comes out as like ADHD looking stuff, okay? It's a mess. It's not healthy. And that's something I have to really work on sometimes when I get super excited or passionate about something. Thankfully, I have like a Virgo moon, I cap Venus, and I have, that Scorpio and whatnot. So it kind of helps me dive deeper. But having a lot of air in my chart and then that Sagittarius energy makes me want to just flutter through things quickly. And I feel like the ruling class is kind of in that kind of panic mode right now where they're like really, like they know Capricorn, Pluto's pretty much exposed them. They kind of got really a hot head with that because they just, I don't know. It's like they thought that they were going to, I don't know. I guess it's because that's what Pluto does so well, is expose things, it's like the grave digger, right? But it's like, even though he exposed it so well, gosh dang it, I hate it when I can't. It's like, no, it's like it's so misty out here and the windows will get so fogged over so easy. I have to be really careful. I don't know. I can't understand why they self-sabotage the way that they do, but I'm like, I guess because that's just kind of how evil is, like, you gotta be dumb to be evil to begin with, right? And self-sabotaging is just what you do, and you're gonna fall in your own traps. But God, they really screw things up, and they're so panicky, and the way they're like, what is it, hiking, the inflation, everything, it's like they're trying, yes, it's like some people know they're trying to manufacture crisis, but they don't know what they want, because they want the crisis, but they don't. They want war, but they don't. They want to kill us all off, but they don't. Like, they can't even agree on anything. But I do think they're kind of under their own spell, they are drunk on the wrath of God. And they do have to drink that full cup, and it's like free will energy has given us all the option. Thanks for turning your price off, douchebag. The option to do right or wrong, and so many people are choosing to do wrong. And I do feel like there's going to be a transition soon where there's a huge cleansing in this planet where, as we collapse, which we will, both economically and with natural or unnatural disasters, and maybe even with the fake alien apocalypse. I know I had listened to some kind of things where it mentioned, I don't know, was it like maybe Project Blue Beam? Like Blue Book is where they're supposed to make us not believe in them, but Blue Beam is where they've been practicing like fake alien invasions and like holograms of like Jesus and different stuff, because they kind of want to create an excuse for like globalization or some shit, which I also think is laughable, because I'm like, y'all can't even get along good enough to do globalization. Like, everyone's so afraid of the globalists, and I'm like, y'all really think globalists are the problem? But they can't even like get along enough for that. Like, come on. Like, they can't, they're, I don't know, it's like they're scared of their own shadow. It's so silly. But so I don't even know, I've had so many dreams over the years of like these things with aliens or not, and it's not that I don't think that they're real, but from what they say with the blue beam or something along those lines, like they're gonna really exaggerate it, like they reverse engineered a few ships, but most of it's gonna be like holograms, which is, I could totally see them doing something that ridiculous. But okay. Anyway, like one thing I really wanted to get at, and I'm sure y'all have understood the basic point of this, is that, like, I feel like there's kind of this almost a growth, or like a expansion of men trying to do very manipulative magic, because just like TikTok witches, there's so many like subreddits and things now where men are like using sigils and all of this. First off, Enochian magic is not from Enoch, and Solomon, the Solomon seals and stuff is not from Solomon. Okay, this is made up shit, appropriated from Norse and Icelandic magic and whatnot, and other cultures. These, like, hermetic brotherhoods steal a lot, but they also kind of rewrite history to make it look like their roots are biblical or some shit, which none of that is true. It's all made up bullshit. And the only reason why some of these quote-unquote sigils work is because you believe it. And yeah, some of them do have more power than others, but again, a lot of it was appropriated, from Norse magic as well as India and places. A lot of ancient Egyptian magic was appropriated from ancient India and like pre-Hinduism type stuff. If you go look back at that, there's a lot of connections there. And a lot of this magic that these guys are dealing with, they don't know what they're dealing with. And they don't know what they're conjuring. And they don't care. All they want is power. And you're dumb as fuck, okay? What authority do you have to do it? What authority do you have? None. Especially if you have the physical means to acquire things, you do not have the authority to try to cheat by being bewitched, okay, and twinkling your damn nose. Like, if you literally are healthy and you're strong and you haven't been oppressed and you can go and say you already have a job making 6 figures and things, if you're seriously out there trying to do magic to get your way, you do not have the authority to do so. You have not earned it. No one has given it to you. You were taking it by force, which makes you a predator, which makes you a target. Because there's always something stronger than you out there. And I promise you, you're only harming yourself. And you may not have any more lifetimes to dabble. You may not have any more lifetimes to correct the mistakes you've made in this one. And you might cease to exist. And I understand that, for some of you, you would rather cease to exist, right? Than not get what you want. I mean, you want to sell your soul to get that honey boo-boo over there. You want to sell your soul to get that 6-figure income. I know I had an ex that did all that, and then he hated it because he had to pay child support. And he had to deal with all of the things after he got the 6 figures from my family, and after he got the woman that he thought he needed. He hated everything, right? Wasn't happy. That's just how magic works. When you sell your soul to the devil, you're going to get burned. Okay? And that's the problem, is you're not just going to cease to exist, but you will suffer first. I promise you. Why? Because it has to return to you. An undeserved curse cannot land. So if you're doing obsessively insane magic to try and get your way, and is harming others in any way, shape, or form, it has to come back to you full force. And I have listened to quite a few near-death experiences, and people will tell you that if you do a lot of things to harm other people, you feel all the pain that you caused all at once. And it's like, some people didn't realize how much pain and suffering they caused others. They really didn't, because they're too busy living as egotistical, selfish pigs. And then when they die and they realize how much pain they caused everyone, I feel it all at once. The pain is unbelievable. It's the most horrifying pain they could ever explain. It's worse than going to what you imagine as hell. And the problem with all of this is, if you're doing these things, you will have to die, experience all the pain that you have caused, and then you will begin to fade out. Now, you may be given the opportunity to have another life. Who knows? Do you really want to take that chance? And the reason why I'm putting this out there as a warning is, yes, you need to be warned. I feel this passion. Like, I know that we're done, okay? The divine feminine and many of the people in the world that have been oppressed, I'm talking minorities or even the animals, the plants, the flora, the fauna, the bees, the pollinators, even the wasps and things that pollinate are dying out around here. They are all crying out. Like they say in the Bible, the blood of Abel's crying out for vengeance. Everyone is crying out for vengeance. And if you are a man and you have the opportunity to do good, but yet you're only trying to do for yourself, what kind of wrath do you think you have waiting for you? Think about it. You have the opportunity to do good, to fight for good. Now, if you were to try and wield magic for good, then that's amazing, you know. You may not have an excessive amount of spiritual authority for yourself, but if you're fighting for the greater good, then I'm sure that it can be handed to you, or at least you're lending a hand. You know, at least you're participating in a greater cause. But if you're just trying to help yourself or help your own, like I know that's just how a lot of the bigwigs think. Like I know that, you know, my parents, the same family they sold my virginity to so that my father could be bailed out of the MLM scheme that he fell for, had told them that, you know, they've worked with the Bushes personally. You know, we lived out in West Texas and they own a sandblasting company, and they were like, oh yeah, he takes care of his own, you know, and that's why they were voting for him, because they're all oil people. You know, my dad was an oil man, and so they all take care of their own. And this is the kind of magic that they do, okay? They will take care of their own. That's how they see things. And if you're only taking care of your own and you're using your authority to harm others, and the way my parents giddily enjoy the fracking and the gas prices going up because their stock is all invested in the oil prices and the gas prices. I mean, the hell that they have is so funny, because they go to church, they'll think I'm this evil, wicked witch, and it's like, you know, Moses wielded more black magic than I do. My God, the only thing I do is like, you know, very strong protection magic. If you want to call it magic, it's so silly that we even have to use these terms, but it is what it is. You know, it's medicine. And I also do like very powerful return to senders, because I had to, because I do have a very evil ex that has tried to take me out, and he's pretty much gotten his fair share of his own medicine, which is, you know, ironically hilarious. And it wasn't funny whenever I was having really horrifying things happening to me and realizing what it was and having to do the return to sender, and then, you know, him like losing everything was kind of funny. But and I knew, you know, obviously, like, he actually did try to take me out. But the thing is like, and if anyone needs to know or wants to know how to do very powerful protection and return to senders and things, I'm very, very good at that. There's one thing I'm good at. I'm good at that. Like, I am really good at that. And as I've aged, I've gained more and more, you know, authority, and my magic has become more and more potent, even though I've always kind of had it in me naturally, obviously. And I don't have to have weird sigils, and I don't have to have like, I don't have to work based on the moons or the hours or the deities. Like, I invite the ones that love me and know me and are my ancestors, because they're it's important to me. I know that we're all one, and I love them, but only the ones that love me too, because the only thing that I really have to offer is my love and my dedication to fighting for justice. Not even until the day I die, but for eternity. I will never stop fighting for justice and for what is right, for saving the little ones on this planet. I will never stop. You kill me, I will become stronger. But see, that's the difference in between me and so many of these quote-unquote privileged people who wield this shit because they want it for themselves. They have no sense of justice. They have no sense of right and wrong. And they have no loyalty to anything. And so, you know, I feel like this is something I really need to say, because there's a lot of men out there that really don't know the harm in it. Like, they really don't see how it's bad. to play around with magic. It's like, why not? You know, they start to understand more and more that religion is a load of shit. You know, it's kind of like, now that you have access to endless information, it's not so easy to fall for the typical, you know, go to church every Sunday and you're good as gold, right? So I'm home, so I'm going to hurry up and wrap things up. But honestly, if you are a man or any person of privilege, you can even be a woman, but if you come from a lot of money and you still have a lot of money and you have, you know, status, and you can say, if you want to go to college, it's there. You want to buy a brand new car, it's there. If you have everything you need physically and you're still wielding magic only for yourself, you honest to God are dumb as shit. Okay? You need to wake the fuck up, and you need to stop fucking with what you don't understand. Because my ancestors are coming for you, and we're taking you guys out. One by one, taking you out. We don't have room anymore for selfish nuts. We don't have room anymore for you nasty trolls and goblins that just gobble up everything in this planet and leave nothing but corpses in your wake. The birds of the air are hungry. The vultures, the crows, the ravens, they're ready to eat the flesh and the eyes of the greedy. They're tired of eating roadkill. They're ready to eat the ones who take up too much space. We don't have to get our hands dirty. All we have to do is wield energy for the right reasons and the right purpose. This planet has no space for greed or corruption anymore. The Mother Earth will spit you out.